The world's best are here at the red clay courts of Paris.
Nadal and Djokovic. Doesn't get any better than that.
Hey, welcome. The French Open is upon us at long last, and Kenny, Ducey, and I are here to break down the draw, give you our initial reactions on how to bet the French Open. Kenny, of course, we represent NBC Sports Edge, and the French Open is one of the best, tournaments in all of sports throughout the year. Incredible history here, and we haven't even had a match of tennis played, and we already have drama. The draw was unbelievable if you haven't already seen it. And in general, the draw doesn't usually move the market as much as we have seen today on the men's side of the tournament. Kenny, as you were watching the draw live, were there audible gasps when you saw who ended up landing in the first quarter of this draw? And I guess just broadly, were there a couple of players that you thought were generally winners or losers in terms of winning championship equity?
Yeah, the actual draw itself wasn't very riveting, just seeing them take those little things that they move out of the, I don't even know what to call them. It's like, it almost looks like a keychain that they take out and then it flips open
key
with
fob.
the number.
It's key fob, yeah.
There you go. It did look like a fob. So that wasn't really that, I don't think I gasped. I was just trying to figure out what was happening. But I will say, yeah, I mean, I think everyone was in shock. On one half of the draw, we have Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, Rafael Nadal, Alexander Zverev, some very hard hitters. And in the same quarter as well, we have Nadal and Djokovic. But look, man, I mean, I think, we could go so many different places with this breakdown. I mean, obviously, there's a clear winner here, and it's everyone that's not on that half, and probably Stefanos Tsitsipas, the biggest one, because Medvedev ain't making it out of that quarter, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, I think I was just shocked to see the road for Nadal. I think that there are going to be some potentially devastating matches on his body coming up, whether it's, even round two, Moutet, who's beaten Wawrinka before, in that environment, like the crowd probably going to be going crazy for Moutet, although they do love Rafa there, right? Maybe he takes a set there, maybe that goes 4, and then all of a sudden he's got to play his old nemesis Fabio Fognini. You've got FAA and Tabio maybe in the draw, like Diego or Novak. Obviously Novak probably the favorite to come out of there, but like, if he even gets to the quarterfinal against Djokovic, it's going to be, he could be tired. And I think Djokovic probably is the one that's favored in that match, weirdly enough. We talked all week for the last couple of weeks, Drew, about Rafa's body and whether or not it's going to hold up here. I mean, what if he just withdraws seeing this draw? What if he's like, I can't do this, man, I'm out.
It's a non-zero chance. I mean, he loves playing here. I think he would love to kind of give the fans at least a couple of matches of entertainment. But without question, the biggest loser on the draw was not Rafa Nadal. And you called it, biggest winner was Stefanos Tsitsipas. The other big winner, as you mentioned, because we have such a top-heavy draw, any other younger guy on the bottom who has never made a Grand Slam final has the door is right there. It's right open for you. We haven't seen the best of Tsitsipas this year. Somebody could potentially storm through that door and make their first Grand Slam final.
Isn't it weird, by the way, that we say that? Because he hasn't had a great year. He almost lost to Jiri Lehecka at Rotterdam. But this guy has the most wins on tour right now. We should mention. Like, he's been kind of confusing, but he's still managed to win. And in that way, I feel like he's almost like Novak, because I feel like Novak never wins pretty, rarely does anyway. But at the end of the year, you look, you're like, oh, this guy has an insane record. He rarely loses. Tsitsipas has done a very good job winning matches this year. So I don't know. I mean, I think that he probably has to be the favorite to come out of this entire half of the bracket, no?
Oh, yeah. He'll be at the top of that market for sure. But just in general, the door is wide open. Let's look at the bracket in a little bit more detail. And let's start with the first quarter. As mentioned, top seed Novak Djokovic did not get the benefit of a soft draw by any stretch of the imagination. His first couple matches should be imminently winnable, but then he is going to have to face a couple of tough tests, notably a potential head-to-head clash in the quarterfinal with Rafa Nadal. As the tennis gods want it, I want it. I'll fill my bracket out that way. I have Djokovic and Nadal meeting head-to-head in that quarterfinal, but with the damage to Nadal throughout this season and really through this tournament, I would expect Novak to come out of the first quarter. Are you there expecting Nole to punch his ticket to the semifinals, or do you think there's an upset here to be had?
No, I am. I think Djokovic comes out of this one pretty easily, frankly. And look, I think any other year you'd throw Nadal and Sharpie in the quarterfinal of this draw. But look, I mean, Jordan Thompson, he'll beat him like 1, 2, and 2. And then all of a sudden it's going to get tricky, as I said. Like, I have him actually going out to Fognini. I just think that match is going to be a long one. Fognini's obviously beat him 4 times, 3 times on clay, beat him at Monte Carlo a couple years ago, or 3 years ago now. It's going to be a very tough match for him physically. And I just think that could be the match. If they go to a 5th set, his foot could give out, or his rib. You got 2 chances really with Rafa. But I mean, even if he makes it out of that match, I mean, FAA has been playing some great tennis on the clay. Tabio obviously had a great start to the season. He's very talented. One of those guys could push him as well. I just think, I don't even know if he gets there to the quarter, but even if you make him, the favorite all the way there, I still think Djokovic comes out of this quarter. So I agree with you.
Okay. Well, it would be something if the 13-time champion didn't make it to the second week of the French Open, but crazier things have happened. So we will see. As we look at the second quarter, in a lot of ways, this kind of feels like a quarter of death, for lack of a better word. I feel like everybody that had a puncher's chance, that had a realistic hope of making a mark in this tournament that wasn't a top-line name, kind of landed here. And a lot of those players, Zverev is going to have to play early in this tournament. Zverev, of course, looking for his first ever Grand Slam. He was the second choice at the Australian Open, underachieved there. He's just a perennial slam underachiever, and he now potentially draws Baez in the second round, Davidovich Fokina in the third round, both very tough outs. Taylor Fritz, your Indian Wells champion, potentially in the 4th round, and then the mighty Carlos Alcaraz, who is effectively your co-favorite for this tournament, and obviously the heavy chalk to come out of Q2. I don't see anyone in this quarter stopping Alcaraz. His game is too sharp right now. He may have a couple of bumps in the road as he kind of figures out best of 5 tennis, but this looks like Alcaraz's quarter to lose. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Zverev has been really up and down all year. I think you called him I think that was the person you called a slam underachiever. I mean, you also hit the nail on the head with like the young guys trying to make an impact. Like, you talk about a guy, Talon Griekspoor, who's got a lot of talent, is finally starting to win again. Now he's got to play ADF in the first round. I actually think Griekspoor is going to win that match. And then Baez he plays some very lethal tennis. He had a tough loss, this week to Cam Norrie, but I think he could maybe beat Zverev in the second round there. And if you want to look for a winner in this draw, how about Taylor Fritz? I feel like he walks to the 4th round very easily. And then, hey, if he faces Zverev there, he's beaten Zverev. You just talked about Indian Wells. He beat him at Indian Wells, last October. So, I mean, he's not like known as a big clay court guy, but he's really improved. He has a game that can play there. He could be looking at a quarterfinal berth just by the simple fact that I think he gets to the 4th round very easily. And then maybe he's left to pick the bones of Zverev or maybe one of the upstart youngsters that upsets him. So I think this quarter could be very interesting, but I still would agree Alcaraz is to lose.
Okay, so we agree then. Djokovic, Alcaraz is our semifinal, and honestly, this would be a rematch of the best tennis match we saw all year, the best clay tennis match we saw all year in Madrid in the semifinals there. Who is your pick for that head-to-head?
I'd go Novak. He probably would have won that match against Carlos in Madrid if it weren't for the lack of matches. I think now he's got the fitness underneath him, so I would probably go with Novak. Best of 5. We just still haven't seen Carlos prove himself in best of 5 tennis. We don't know if he has the fitness. He almost lost to Peter Gajabchik at the U.S. Open. He was so tired. Then he had to pull out against Felix, and then he lost to Berrettini this year. Like, how are you rating him in best of 5 conditions? Because I feel like in that scenario, Novak's got to be the favorite here and got to be your pick. You're a big fatigue guy. I know that about you.
Yeah, I know. And I think realistically, this is Djokovic in 5. I think it's going to be a war. As you mentioned, if it is as physical and as challenging as we were saying, the winner of this is going to have a quick recovery for the final. Let's look at the bottom of the draw here, starting with the third quarter. This is effectively the Tsitsipas quarter. Tsitsipas, of course, is last year's final runner-up. And of course, blew what looked to be a very winnable match against Djokovic. But that's what happens when you're trying to win your first slam. For my taste, I thought he was in better form last year than what we've seen from him this year. But, potentially last year he peaked too early. He may be coming into the peak of his form this year, so he should not be looked past. Other than Tsitsipas in this quarter, this is pretty weak stuff here. I would say Casper Ruud looks to be your second best player in this quarter. He is, of course, the second seeded player in this quarter at the top of the draw. And this does look pretty chalky to me that we are ultimately going to see Tsitsipas take on all of these challengers. And honestly, some of the other seeded players could lose early here. It would not shock me. But I think Tsitsipas Ruud is your quarterfinal, and Tsitsipas punches his ticket to a semifinal. Is that where your head is at here?
Yeah, I think Tsitsipas wins this. I think he goes to the final. I actually think that he may get his revenge over Novak in the final. We will talk about that, potential final winners in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is you like the chalk here. I don't blame you. I personally have not seen enough from Casper Ruud here this year to really give me confidence that he's going to go ahead and just march to the quarterfinal. I think anything could happen here. I think Hubert Hurkacz could go there. I think Francis Tiafoe, who's put in a lot of work on the clay over the last couple of years, could go there. Ruud is tailored I'm curious your impressions of Ruud, because he's like tailored his game towards hard courts now. He's tried to get so much better on hard courts that he's almost lost a step on clay. Like, he just doesn't look to be the dominant clay guy that he was a year ago, like winning all these big clay tournaments, small tournaments, but big matches against big opponents on clay. Like, do you feel like he's in a position where you're just going to pencil him or Sharpie him into the quarter here?
Ruud is now the clay barometer. Like, he is going to lose to a top 10 player on clay, and he is going to beat a guy that is below him.
Right. But he used to be a guy that would challenge the upper guys, right? Like, now he's sort of lost. I feel like he's put too much work into the hard courts.
Yeah, it's possible. But either way, I don't give him much of a shot to defeat Tsitsipas. So we'll pencil Tsitsipas in here to the semifinals, which leaves us with the quarter of mystery, the fourth quarter. Obviously, the top-seeded player here is Daniil Medvedev. Not only is he wildly out of form, coming off injury, but a very poor clay court player in general. So this looks wide open for someone who has never punched their ticket to a semifinal, will likely make it through. The obvious first choice, at least in the betting market, is going to be Andrei Rublev, your top seed. Jannik Sinner, of course, has been a very popular young player to back in the market, and he has life. I, however, am going to go crazy here, and I'm going to take the number 28 seed, Miomir Kekmanovic, to come out of this one, just because I have absolutely been loving what I've seen from him in terms of clay form this year, and the path breaks, I think, favorably for him. He's only going to have to be one of Rublev or Sinner. Really the rest of that section besides Medvedev are all players that I would rate him at least as a small favorite, if not a large favorite against. So I'm going to punch a ticket for a player, not a household name, but Kekmanovic gets through to a semifinal appearance for the first time in his young career.
Yeah, he's added a lot of miles an hour on the serve and the forehand. He's playing unbelievable tennis. For me, I agree with you that I think this is going to be a kind of a crazy quarter. I see here you have Rublev going down to Sinner. I think Rublev goes down potentially to Tommy Paul, who's a great clay court player. He beat Rublev at Indian Wells. He loves playing at Roland Garros. He's always challenged the top players. And Rublev last year lost to Struff in the first round, which was a shock. I think Tommy could get there to the third round and then maybe even beat Sinner. I just don't think it matters, because this is Marin Cilic's bracket to lose here. This is Marin Cilic's quarter. Marin Cilic, you got to remember, he's going to have to face, or Kecmanovic's going to have to go up against Cilic. They had an epic 3-set match the only time that they met, which was this year at Indian Wells, which Cilic, frankly, I thought should have won. It was 6-7, 6-3, 7-6. I think that's going to be a clash of the Titans. I think Cilic wins that match, and I think with that, Cilic wins the quarter, because we haven't seen it at best of 5 with Sinner, right? I mean, he just completely folded into himself against Tsitsipas in Australia this year. Medvedev, we know, is not a clay court player. The only reason he had success last year, it's worth noting too, was that they had different tennis balls that he said he loved. He's been on record saying, do not advertise for people to buy Dunlop tennis balls. They are terrible. So I don't think he's going to have a fun time at this tournament. Cilic, man, I mean, I think you got to go for Cilic here. I think he's going to just run through everybody. This guy has been a winning machine for the last 5 or 6 months, and he can play on clay. I don't know. I mean, it's got to be him or Kecmanovic. I would agree that Kecmanovic has a very good chance. It's probably the bet I would make, but I think people are going to sleep on Cilic here. And I'm not even a big Cilic fan, but I just think he could win it.
We'll have to check out his quarter price, but it's going to be pretty impressive. You might get 20-1 to win the fourth quarter for Cilic. And of course, he is one of the few players in this bracket overall that has ever won a slam. So that is obviously worth something. Thanks for all of that insight. Your final predictions, if it is a Djokovic-Tsitsipas final, which it sounds like we both think it is, you going with the 20-time slam champion to punch number 21, or the debutante to finally break his maiden?
I think Tsitsipas can get it. I think he played it. I think Djokovic physically was tired last year. I mean, I don't know. He turned on his Djokovic switch there and just completely came back from 0-2 down. I think Tsitsipas can win this time. I also think winning for 2 weeks will get him to the level he needs to be at. We know he's very talented and a very good clay court player. These are great courts for him. I also want to say in my predictions, I predict a big fight in the Dan Evans-Michael Eamers second round match. You guys are going to want to watch that match. You're going to want to get it on and just watch, just sit down, have a cup of coffee, and you gotta see what happens. These guys are going to go at each other. I don't know if they've ever played, but I know that they always get in fights on the court. It's going to be very entertaining. And I really hope that it goes 5 sets. I think it will, because I want to see more and more fighting. I want to see it escalate throughout the match.
Well,
how about you?
That's a wild prediction. I don't need to see physical violence.
I don't think like a fist fight, but he'll be like, "Oh, mate, why are you smiling at me, mate? Why are you smiling at me?" And then they're gonna go at it. It'll be great.
I'll tell you, the match I'm the most excited to see would be round 3. Seb Korda, our guy, America's hope, America's young tennis hope, against Carlos Alcaraz in round 3. Korda got him in Monte Carlo. Would love to see him go toe to toe with Alcaraz.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
That's gonna be a great one. So with that, let's wrap it up here. But I guess really we didn't give the women much shine. We both kind of feel pretty strongly that this is Iga's tournament to lose, and nothing about the draw really changed my mind. I'll be honest with you. Iga Swiatek, of course, is your 2020 champion here and current market overwhelming favorite. The draw did her plenty of favors. She still looks like clearly the class of the women's field. And, realistically, I guess I will say this, I will be more surprised if Iga loses this tournament than I would be if she wins without dropping a set. That's how good she's playing right now.
Yeah.
I would make her at least minus 400, if not higher, against every other woman and every other woman on this field. And if we're making predictions, I'll take Iga over Danielle Collins-Rose. Danielle Rose Collins is America's hope to get to a semifinal here, in my opinion. I think Iga nips her in the semifinals. And then on the bottom half of the draw, I'll take Ons Jabeur over. Oh gosh, this is awfully tough. Everybody down here looks eminently beatable. So
I gotta say, Kontaveit comes out of that.
Yeah, we'll take Kontaveit only because there's no one else that really stands out in terms of quality. So Ons Jabeur loses to Iga and straights in the final. Iga Swiatek wins her second ever of what will be many future Grand Slams and probably many future French Opens, if we're being honest. Her clay game is unbelievable. Any other players to watch on the women's side for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Paula Badosa, I know she hasn't had a great season, but I mean, I think that's her quarter. Sabalenka, not a clay court player. And I know you like Danielle Collins to come out of there. She's kind of been up and down this clay court season. Obviously, she had the great result at the Australian Open. She could certainly do it, especially with Badosa kind of with her form being a little wishy-washy. But I do think that she's going to challenge here. I think she challenges Swiatek in the semi. But yeah, Jabeur is playing an unbelievable brand of tennis right now. So I think it's very tough to bet against her. She's even shown last week that she can win matches after a long week at a big tournament, right? Like she has the stamina. She has hit winners from everywhere. She's a very exciting player to watch. And I would really hope that we get her and Swiatek in the final, because that would be an epic clash.
It would be. Well, that was excellent. Thank you, Kenny, for all that. We got you entirely caught up with everything you need to know to bet the draw and the quarters and the final prices for the French Open. Enjoy the tennis and best of luck this fortnight.